of Ugandan, and this is the Minister of Defense. Shame on the Minister of Defense.
Shame on the Minister of Defense.
Shame on the Minister of Defense for standing against the will of Ugandans. Shame on the Minister of Defense for sending arms to Uganda, which are killing Ugandans. Shame on the Minister of Defense for sending tear gas to Uganda, which is blinding Ugandans. This is the aid the Minister of Defense sent to Uganda, arms and ammunition. That is the aid from the Minister of Defense to Uganda. They are conniving with the brutal dictator Museveni of Uganda. We know, not more than less, it's because of our mineral resources in Uganda being exchanged with the arms and ammunition. How comes a civilized country like the UK will stand and support a brutal dictator like Museveni for the last 42 years? We hear now that the UK right now, they are training Ugandans. I'll call it, they are training these thugs. I don't want to believe that the UK is training these so-called army officers from Uganda to torture Ugandans, but they are torturing Ugandans. Now I come to understand, we as Ugandans in the diaspora, we come to understand that the UK is training militias from Uganda to go back and torture Ugandans, to go back and rape Ugandans, to go back and kidnap Ugandans in the name of democracy. Shame on the Minister of Defense. Shame on you. We cannot believe that in the 20th century, the Minister of Defense would be supporting a brutal dictator like Museveni. Why are they condemning Putin of Russia? He's a dictator like Museveni. Putin of Russia has been in power for 27 years only. He's a dictator. Museveni, who has been in power for 42 years, is not a dictator. Double standard by the UK Defense Ministry. That's why today, as Ugandans, we have called off duty from work. Let us come and highlight the impunity, the facilitation, the neighboring of Minister of Defense in the raping of Ugandans, in the raping of children in Uganda, in the sodomizing of young men in Uganda. People power, our power, NUP, everywhere. We have just started as we wait on our friends and colleagues to join us. We will be saying a clear message to the Minister of Defense that we are not fit for purpose. When you stand with a brutal dictator like Museveni of Uganda, you don't show qualities. When I used to grow up, when I was a young man, I wanted to join the force. Rapists can be
They train the army that use torture techniques. They dress up the army in Uganda. They award ranks. They take the Ugandans to specialized units like Sandhurst to train them to kill us. This is the reason why we are here at the Defense Ministry, to tell them, stop financing our crime. They have funded our crime. They have sponsored our death. They are responsible for the death in Uganda. They trained the fugitive son, the son of the junta of Uganda, who is behind all the murders and the crime. As we talk, he is abducting people and taking them to undisclosed locations and sends photographs out to demonstrate his powers. You've trained this beast, Muhoozi, the son of the junta of Uganda, and is behind the murder, the crime, and all the torture of Ugandans. We are not going to sit back and watch you kill Ugandans. We are Ugandans and we protest that. Minister of Defense should be training soldiers and professional ones. And professional soldiers, not like that beast Muhoozi. He has caused a lot of torture, grief to Ugandans. Words cannot be people torture, death, and he is caused us a lot of death. All the skills he uses are learned from the Ministry of Defense UK. You trained him in Sandhurst to kill, to torture, to maim, and you continue to dress Ugandan army with all the uniforms, the boots. You arm them with guns that kill Ugandans. Ministry of Defense UK, you are behind the death of people in Uganda. You've caused us a lot of grief. Stop funding and giving them arms. Stop teaching them torture skills. Sandhurst is a head to Ugandans. We know that's where you train these people to kill us. And he is using the torture techniques learned from UK Sandhurst to kill us. And who is this? Muhoozi, the son of the junta of Uganda. We are not going to give up. We are going to fight. We are fighting back. And we will get them where they want. Minister of Defense, whether you stop it or not, but it's time you stop it. Otherwise, we will take you down with the junta's son. ICC is watching. There is no rule of law. Uganda has gone to the dogs. And Minister of Defense, as I talk, you are training the junta's grandsons in Sandhurst. What is this? We've already had enough from the son who has killed, maimed Muhoozi, the son of the junta. You still carry on killing Ugandans. NUP? Everywhere. Everywhere? NUP. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, we are here. As you have understood or you've heard from my colleague, the reason why we are here is to do with the Ministry of Defense. They've decided to play double standards on Ugandans' lives. The Ministry of Defense is involved in the kidnapping, the sodomization of young boys in Uganda. Here the aid from the UK Ministry of Defense. Arms which are killing Ugandans, are British-made arms. Tear gas, blinding Ugandans, made in the UK. Bullets, killing Ugandans, made in the UK. Boots they're using to kick Ugandans, made in the UK. The wages, their salary, being paid by the UK taxpayer. I know very well that the UK taxpayer, they don't know that their money is facilitating, enabling the longest brutal dictator, Museveni of Uganda. We are calling on the sleeping Prime Minister Keir Starmer
to wake up. He's sleeping on duty. He's supposed to have sanctioned the brutal dictator's son, Muhoozi, and his son, the one who is training right now in Sandhurst. It's a shame that Sandhurst is one of the military best academy in the world, but now it has been turned into a raping camp, into a kidnapping camp, supporting dictators around the world. And when you go against it, they'll send them to remove you from power. Once upon a time, the UK used to fund Gaddafi of Libya. Where is he today? Once upon a time, the UK supported Saddam Hussein. Where is he today? They removed him because he could not kneel on his knees in there. We are going on and on. Where is Mugabe? Mugabe was the first man to come and have lunch with the late Queen. Where was he before he left power? He was the enemy of the UK. Why? He refused their orders. Today now, the reason why the Ministry of Defense is still supporting, facilitating, enabling the dictator Museveni is because of our oil in Uganda. We know what is happening in Iran right now. The oil has shot up because of the war. Where the UK is getting its oil? From Uganda. As long as Ugandans are being battered, being killed, being murdered, being raped, being sodomized, but as long as Uganda, the brutal dictator, has sanctioned that oil from Uganda is taken to the UK for free, as long as you remain in power. That is the double standard of the UK government. Through the Ministry of Defense, we are here as the victim of this brutal dictator. We are here because we want to be here. We are here because of the situation in Uganda. We've been here more than 30 years. Some of us 38 years. Some of us 40 years in exile because of this brutal dictator. Shame on the Ministry of Defense. As Ugandans in the UK and Ugandans in the diaspora will call on, regardless of how many are we here, will expose the double standard by the Ministry of Defense UK government. Thank you.